844-639-7754.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
Now at Menards, save big money in your next painting project with 11% off everything. Get professional results in your next painting job with pro-quality brushes, rollers, and tools from Purdy, the #1 brand preferred by the pros. Menards has the largest selection of Purdy products with over 150 in stock, all 11% off. Good through July 10th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Partly to mostly sunny, a daytime high of 92. We'll call it partly cloudy overnight. Temperatures down to about 70 degrees for the low. Mix of clouds and sunshine before we see the chance of a scattered showers, with temperatures in the lower 90s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Hello, old friends.
Welcome back to the show.
Oh, wow! What's today?
Today is International Kissing Day.
Wow, today?
We're going to be smooching here.
It's International Kissing Day.
I'm going to give you a big kiss for that.
Okay, pucker up.
Give me a kiss, baby.
Plant a big sloppy kiss.
No tongue.
Happy International Kissing Day.
Showtime.
Celebrating the 100 days of summer, this is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
And we have crossed over the midway mark of the 100 days of summer. 4th of July kind of marks that midpoint. We're heading on down towards the fall. God, I can't believe that. Not all that far away, Biffy, from the All-Star game, right? 2 weeks, maybe.
2 weeks from this coming Saturday.
And then the sounds of football will be a touchdown. We'll be in the air again, and we'll be kicking into the football season. 78 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, and clear skies. 79 degrees and beautiful sunshine and blue skies here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. We are going to see a high today around 90, but the conditions will make it feel warmer. We could feel like it's as high as 100. It's certainly going to feel like it's in the mid-90s, maybe feel like it's as high as 100. So it's going to be a hot, a muggy day today. Good day to, be aware that it's hot and muggy, so stay hydrated, stay cool, watch out for the sun. It can catch you unawares sometimes. So a hot day is in store today and a muggy day. Find a pool to get into if you can, and preferably one that you're supposed to get into. Don't go wandering the neighborhood and looking for strangers, but, get into a pool, or go to the library, or find some place where there's air conditioning and stay cool today, because it could feel like 100 today. Unfortunately, this will be the summariest of all the days of this week. A little more cloudy tomorrow, and by midweek we see some rain coming in. So there you go. Where have we been and where are we going over the course of the final hour of the show today? Governor Justice tells a national audience over the weekend the only way to significantly increase vaccination rates, to get more people to get vaccinated, the governor says, is if we have a catastrophe. If, and I quote Governor Justice, people will have to die. May be true, but boy, I hated to hear him say that on ABC TV this weekend. COVID cases and hospitalizations are dramatically down in our local area, but concerns continue over the Delta variant and any potential changes that could come down the road, and trying to get more people vaccinated. We talked to Ohio County's Health Administrator Howard Gamble about that. Wheeling Council votes today on creating a homeless liaison position. Amidst a variety of different perspectives on that idea. Not everyone on council, I don't think, is on board with the specifics of this idea. And not everyone, do I think, in the homeless support community around town is on board with the specifics of this proposal. Everyone on council and elsewhere I've talked to likes the idea of the city getting more actively involved in the homeless problem, but the specific idea of hiring a liaison who would kind of be the captain of the homeless ship is not sitting well with some folks, and some are trying not to say it out loud, but I'm certainly hearing that. Bill Cosby says he'd like to get back on with that. Please, Bill, you just go away. Just go away. He was one of my absolute favorite comedians of all time, but you can't go back on stage. We talked about that. So those are things that we've been chatting about this morning. And some people are upset with Disney because the Disney fireworks shows now begin with the phrase, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dreamers of all ages," which sounds okay to me, but apparently they used to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dreamers of all ages." And so the crowd that just can't be satisfied with anything is upset because they don't say boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen anymore. So those are where we have been and where we are going over the course of the morning this morning. 9:13 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Many of you would say, by dint of what I do, being a longtime radio talk show host, that I'm probably pretty good at BS. And I suppose you have to have a little bit of that if you're a talk show host. I like to think of myself as a journalist. But I suppose there's a bit of a BSer in me and everybody else. What I found fascinating in a recent article I came across is there's actually some research now that says people who have the ability and skill to BS their way through a conversation may actually be more intelligent. That would be me. I'm a BSer and I'm smart too. Study was actually published in the scientific journal Evolutionary Psychology. Researchers found that people who are better at making up explanations for various concepts, BSing their way through something, tend to be more intelligent. So I was curious about that. I wanted to get kind of a take on it, and I invited Dr. Carol Lieberman to join us. She is a psychiatrist, author. She's done a lot of media work, and she's here with us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Carol.
Good morning.
Are you a BSer?
I try not to be. I actually pride myself in telling the truth, even though when it comes out about a bit harsh to some people.
Now, you've done a lot of media work. Do you find that talk show hosts, radio and television, tend to have a significant amount of BS in them?
Well, it depends, but
it's okay. You can say that. It's okay.
I mean, certainly when there are empty spaces to fill, that may bring about some fanciful talk, shall we say?
Okay, I can live with that. I consider myself a journalist-based talk show host, but you're right. There are moments. Biff, my producer, Biff, you would agree that every once in a while, just a load of BS comes out of my mouth, right?
Yes, it does from time to time.
All right. Dr. Carroll, seriously, have you found in your years of research that people who are good at sort of, we're calling it BS, but sort of on the spot coming up with working their way through ideas, do you find they are really more intelligent?
Well, it depends. I mean, this study that they did, looked at, they had, first of all, it was a very interesting way that they started it. They gave a list of 10 words and concepts, and 4 of the concepts were just made up. Words like subjunctive scaling, declarative fraction, genetic autonomy, neural acceptance. And they asked people to write what they thought, these different words, all 10 of them meant. And so the ones who wrote explanations for these words that really were nonsense, that was a measure of BS, because they were trying to impress people with their intelligence. They didn't want to say they had no idea what these things were. And then they had people rating the people who were who were talking about certain subjects that they didn't really necessarily, or that weren't necessarily true. And how they measured, and then they measured intelligence. And what they found was that the people who were able to convince these raters that they were talking about things that were true and accurate, and that in fact that corresponded with their being higher in intelligence. Now, it didn't mean, however, that these people BS'd more than other people, and that was thought to be due to the BSers, being more intelligent, were able to figure out which audiences, which people they were talking to would realize that they were BSing, and which ones wouldn't. So if they realized that their audience was going to realize it was BS, they wouldn't BS. But so
who wants to get caught BSing? Right? Yeah, who wants to get caught BS? Yeah, you don't want to get caught.
Exactly. But now the flip side of that is that as a psychiatrist, one of the another way of looking at BS is that these people who are psychopaths or sociopaths also BS. They lie to get something, to manipulate people, to do something.
Are there? Well, I want to be careful where I'm going with this. Are there people who just can't help themselves? They have to throw the crap?
You mean?
Yes.
What do you call it? Obsessive.
Yes, I do.
Liars, compulsive liars.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, there is such a thing, and really, in part, not all compulsive liars. I mean, some compulsive liars are just sociopaths, but there are some people, and yes, it might be, or in some cases, it might be associated with lower intelligence, because these are people who may have learned from the time they were little kids, like in school, if they didn't know the answer to a question and they didn't want to be embarrassed in front of the whole class, they would come up with something. So that could have started them on the path of becoming a compulsive liar, especially if they weren't called on it, if they got away with it.
There's no such thing I know as sort of standardizing everybody in any category. But when people tend to, assuming they're not sociopathic of some kind, if they just tend to make up a lot of it, tend to be big with BS, do they even know what they're doing? Do they know that they're creating things out of whole cloth, or is it just second nature? That may not be a good way to phrase the question, but maybe you get my intent.
Well, some people know that and are purposely doing it, and other people just, get caught up in let's pretend,
Mm-hmm. It's interesting the way you said earlier when you were reading those phrases that were sort of made up phrases, but
right.
I was thinking to myself, I take a stab at all those. I would take a stab at all those. But then I got thinking, but only, and you touched on this, I would only do it if I thought the person I was talking to wouldn't be able to catch me up very quickly. If somebody says something to me, Howard, I need you to, operate the conflabilizer or something. If I know they know, I will quickly just go, I don't know what that is, because I don't want to easily embarrass myself.
Right.
If I think they don't know, then I'm willing to kind of take a stab at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Well, you must be one of those highly intelligent people.
I don't know about that, but I'm pretty good. After so many years, I've had a lot of practice. Let me just put it that way. Can you spot people? I mean, so on the outside looking in, you know if you're spotting BS, or theoretically you do, or I am. But how can you tell when someone is just making things up, or can you do that?
Well, I work as a forensic psychiatrist and expert witness. So a big part of that is, first of all, I have to examine people involved in a lawsuit. And so, especially if I'm working for the defense, I ask the people, I do these long interviews, like day-long interviews, and I ask them all kinds of questions about their life before I get to questions about the particular incident that's involved in this lawsuit. And I then go back, once they're tired, sort of at the end of the day, I then go back to things that I asked them at the beginning of the day, and maybe perhaps in a slightly different way. And if they don't have the same answer, if they've forgotten the BS that they gave me earlier on in the interview, then that's a good way of catching them, Besides, of course, body language, if they look away, if they seem like they're trying to figure out a story, things like that.
Well, it's a cliche, but I suppose it's true. The lie, the truth is always easier just because you remember it.
Right.
It's hard to remember the lie I told you earlier.
Well, yes, that's right. But also, there's the other phenomenon where if a person in a lawsuit has been coached by their lawyer to tell a certain story, and they memorize the story, and then they say it again and again in a very, very, using the exact words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a clue.
That's a clue, too.
This is the area I wanted to talk about, and I think we've talked about this and given people this study I found was interesting. Can I shift for one quick second to something else, which you may or may not offer an opinion on, but can I ask you a question?
I have an opinion on everything, so sure you can.
Well, we've been talking this morning about Bill Cosby and the fact that this weekend his managers are saying he wants to get back on stage and do more comedy bits. What motivates, in God's name, someone to do that? I mean, my recommendation to Cosby is go to a Caribbean island, get out of Dodge and lay low for the rest of your life. What motivates someone to say, I want to get back on stage when you have become a pariah like he is?
Well, he is he wants to keep proving, or trying to convince people in any case, that he is innocent. He has been determined to do that. And, when he was in prison, he didn't take the course that was given for sex offenders, and that was one of the reasons why he wasn't granted parole. So he is stuck in this, I didn't do it. And, is it denial? Is it that he thinks he can pull the wool over our eyes? Is this an example of BS? I think he's so desperate to cling to his America's dad kind of name, his good, when he had a good name, that he's in his own world.
It is sad to me to see someone who I used to enjoy so much and had a lot of respect for, fallen so far, and to show no remorse or to show no ability to say, "Man, did I mess that up?"
Yes.
It's just hard for me to comprehend. I just didn't know.
And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
And the fact is that he's planning to go on. Well, maybe this is part of the reason why he's doing it too, but he has a slew of women who are just waiting to, they have sued him civilly, and these court cases are just waiting to come up. So, maybe that's why he's trying to get a jump ahead of that or something, but it's so hard to believe that where there's smoke, there's fire. It's so hard to believe that all these women would come out and would persist after he was let out, there has to be true in some case, and he even had admitted in that depo about giving some women drugs and all of that. So, who is he trying to, who does he think he can still fool?
I think that's a great question. And you know who I think he's trying to fool? Himself. I think he's fooling himself into believing he still is, as you said, America's dad. And I find that sad.
Yes, and I think one of the ways he's doing this is by convincing himself that these women wanted, this is a typical thing that perpetrators do, they convince themselves that the women actually wanted to have sex with them. It was consensual.
Yeah. Dr. Carroll, I didn't want to take you down a road you weren't expected, but that's good conversation. It's kind of been where we've been wandering around a little bit here this morning as well. I appreciate your time today. We'll have to have you on some more. It's good talking to you. I really appreciate your input.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm actually on this new kick, this new something that has, well, it's been bothering me for a long time, and I've been talking about it somewhat, over the past months. But this July 4th, where everyone came out bashing America, bashing the flag, bashing the national anthem, all of this, the Olympics, the Olympic athletes is what I'm trying to say. The Olympic athletes turning their backs to the flag. All of this has just, this past weekend has just brought it out more into the open in much more intensity, and it has got to stop.
What is it, you say? And I don't disagree with you, but when you say brought it out into the open, what is it that's out in the open?
Well, all of these things of, this hate for America, this disrespect, this dissing and disrespect and destroying of things, of symbols of America. I mean, for example, NPR, when they read every year they read the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, and this time they had a warning about the flaws and hypocrisies of it. The New York Times published an article called "A 4th of July Symbol of Unity That May no longer unite," when they're talking about the flag and sort of very quietly persuading people not to hang out the flag. I mean, trying to hide that that's what they were saying. Then PBS had the Star Spangled Banner at the beginning, and then what's called the Black National Anthem at the end. The thing is, if you talk about these things, then you're considered a racist. But it's not about racism. It's about this general disrespect for, it's tearing down America. And it's just, it's one thing to voice your, and for some of the people who are doing this, these are people who have come so far in life that surely they cannot say, like the Olympic athletes, for example. It's America who has given them this opportunity, and yet they're turning their back on the flag. The story came out this morning, maybe you saw it, about the women's soccer team who turned their back on the flag and the man who was playing the Star Spangled Banner. He was a 98-year-old World War II veteran. I mean, it's bad enough to turn your back on the flag and so on, but they were standing right there next to the veteran. I mean, how do you do that?
Well, I'm gonna parse this a little bit. I am in agreement with you that I think we go. Look, the 4th of July. Saluting the flag. We had our flag out here at home. I think that is patriotism. I think that is support for the country. I don't think there's anything wrong with recognizing the country was flawed. Let's be brutally honest about it. And when the Declaration was written and the Constitution was written, they did not really include African Americans who were slaves. I don't see anything wrong with acknowledging that we had errors in the past, because we did. But that doesn't mean that we can't celebrate the country, that we can't celebrate the patriotism, that we can't.
Exactly.
Recognizing our mistakes should help to bring us together, because we recognize It's kind of going back to the Cosby thing, actually. I would have greater respect for Cosby if he was simply acknowledging, man, did I screw up.
Okay. Yes, but the way that this is, it's one thing to sort of acknowledge it and believe. You don't think that there has been enough acknowledgement of that? That's all you hear these days. But it's a different thing when you just act disrespectfully, when you turn your back on the thing, when you kneel. That basically started it in terms of these acting out things, behaviors. But to do that, and on July 4th, to tear down, it's this country who gave these people their opportunities. And that's different from having a discussion or having some law passed or something like that. But just, it's a very crude way of showing disrespect for the country and hate for the country, really.
Yeah, I'm going to respectfully disagree. I don't think there is sometimes it is showing hate for the country. I don't think it shows hate. I think it shows acknowledgement, an effort to try to draw attention to the errors of the past. And again, I'm with you that we should not allow that to distort what we are and what we have become. And again, 4th of July is a great weekend for us to come together, not to be divided. But I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think it's important that we do. And no, I don't think we have always acknowledged. I think we do it a lot more now than we did in the past. But I think it's important that we acknowledge the sins of the past.
Okay, but the flag and the national anthem and all of that, that's for all Americans. I mean, today, we can't say that it's for all Americans. And it is having a really devastating effect on the morale of this country, even if you just want to look at it from a more practical kind of, it's hard enough to come out of COVID, and people are seeing this and are just, it's causing self-loathing in people who aren't the ones who are, turning their back on the flag, but on everybody else. It's causing self-loathing. Oh, America must be horrible then.
No, I don't think it causes self-loathing. I think those who take that attitude are loathing somebody else, not themselves. Again, it's been good conversation, and I'm glad to have this part of the conversation. It's always fun to have this debate. But I think that we have to be careful what line we walk, and I think that to dismiss those who feel they have legitimate concerns is, I think that's very damaging to the country as well. I think we have come to acknowledge our problems, and that allows us to move forward. It is a country of freedom that has allowed us to acknowledge our problems, but those things are very real. And I have a difficulty because, I'm a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male, so it's who's led a pretty good life. It's tough for me to feel any kind of resentment, but I try my best to see what life is like through other lenses, and I think it's a little bit different on the other side. It's a good conversation, though. Dr. Carol, thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll talk again.
All right.
All right, bye-bye. Dr. Carol Lieberman. That went off the rails fairly quickly there. I take a nuanced position to these things. I believe that how do I want to phrase this? The 4th of July should not be spoiled. Independence Day should not be spoiled. Believing in America and the freedoms of America should not be spoiled by acknowledging that we have had problems in the past. But I also think we have to acknowledge we've had problems in the past. I think it is wise for us to be reminded that in our founding fathers, I love the founding fathers. I love the Revolutionary period. I have a bookshelf. Well, you can't see it here, but I've got bookshelves filled with Revolutionary War histories because I love how this country was founded and the people who did found it. But there were a lot of mistakes made, and I don't want to say slavery, but it was slavery, I guess. The treating of all Americans, we did not treat all Americans equal. We put it in the words that all men are created equal, but we didn't really believe that. We actually wrote into it that some were less equal than others. And I don't think that's wrong to acknowledge that. And again, I think those of us who have no problem in life have a hard time understanding what it's like for those who do, and who do feel put upon. But that's why we have discussions, and I appreciate Dr. Carroll's point on that. 9:36, 24 till, Biffy, I was right on time, pal. I was right on time, and then we went down that road. 9:36, 24 till the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show, heading towards 90.79. The last I checked, we'll see what it's at now. We'll do that in a minute. Some final check of headlines for us here this morning on the Watchdog Morning Show. Mr. DeFabio's got sports for us, and we'll take care of some odds and ends before we turn things over to Mr. Kurt Javal at 10:06. We are the Watchdog Morning Show on WKKX and WVOY.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia.
Pirates, a special night for Ben Gamel. He hit 2 home runs, drove in a total of 6 as the Pirates blasted the visiting Atlanta Braves by the score of 11-1. Hey, let's get excited. The Pirates have won 2 games. For the Milwaukee Bucks since way back in 1974, and it's the first trip for the Phoenix Suns since 1993. I'm Bill DeFabio on sports, and we are the Watchdog. Wheeling Coin and Hobby on 10th Street in Wheeling, next to the Bridge Tavern in downtown Wheeling, wants to buy any and all unwanted gold and silver jewelry. They are paying top dollar for 10, 14, 18, and 22 karat gold, plus 925 sterling silver. They also want to buy collectible coins and paper money from before 1933. Wheeling Coin and Hobby is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Saturday. Coin and Hobby, 304-232-8430, and add them on Facebook.
Oh, there's something so real about living local, and I know without a doubt I'm not alone. And I'm loving living local. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. Said I'm loving living local. WTRF is working for me. The Ohio Valley is where I love to be.
I'm Josh from Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. I hope you are staying healthy. We continue to respond to structural, fire, and water emergencies. We are combating COVID-19 with our highly trained staff and latest disinfection systems, providing preventative and reactive disinfection to facilities around the region, while working with area hospitals on isolation areas and air filtering. At Panhandle, we continue to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. We are dedicated to our community, and together we will get through this.
We live for piles of paper, countless calculations, and exact on-the-button balances. More than a phone call at the end of the year to make sure you're square with Uncle Sam, we're an internal resource to run payroll, manage bookkeeping, handle accounts payable, prep and file taxes, and consult for the long-term financial health of your business. Always exact. Glessner and Associates.
It's the summer's hottest party, the Circus Saints and Sinners Party on the Plaza. Enjoy all-day live music, food trucks, and ice-cold beverages at the Plaza on Market in downtown Wheeling. Get tickets now at partyontheplaza.org.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Dominating both AM and FM, the Watchdog is AM 1600 and 1370, FM 98.1 and 97.7. We are the Watchdog.
Live and local for the Ohio Valley, the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
78 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 81 degrees. Temperature moving up here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. 78 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Looking out the window and I'm seeing sunshine and blue skies. A high today of 90 with a feels like temperature possibly pushing us into the near 100 degree range. That's a feels like temperature. Likely to hit an actual temp around 90 today. Wheeling Council today, I think it's at noon, there's a noon meeting today. Wheeling Council is going to vote on creating a homeless liaison position. This actually came up faster than I realized it was going to. I was going to do some more prep work on this here on the show before the vote. We talked a couple weeks ago with Rosemary Ketchum, who is the kind of lead sponsor of this measure, and with Ben Seidler, who has a lot of questions about the measure. I didn't quite realize it was coming up so fast. My own fault, my own stupidity. But Wheeling Council expected today to vote on a resolution creating, according to the intel over the weekend, a project-based time-limited position, that's a quote, of homeless liaison. I don't quite know what that means, and I have not seen the ordinance, so I don't quite understand what the project-based time-limited position is. And I think that's part of the problem here, is that this whole thing is still really, certainly to me, and therefore I have to assume to the public, very vague and very unclear. I know that as I've talked to several members of council, there is some real strong disagreement on what to do about a position. Now, every member of council that I've talked to, and I've talked to almost all of them, have said they firmly believe the city has a role to play in the problem of homelessness, which they acknowledge is a big deal in the city of Wheeling. And maybe I think everybody kind of agrees that creating some funding opportunities makes some sense. Not everybody on council that I've talked to seems to think a person as a city employee to be a homeless liaison makes the most sense. Over the weekend, the newspaper talked with some of the homeless support community around here, and you can sense the differing perspectives these folks have. Mark Phillips, regional director from the Catholic Charities of West Virginia, and they deal with homelessness, says that I'm happy the city is working to be proactive, but I am concerned creating a full-time position invests significant resources into an area with which the city has very limited experience. I think there's a pretty good point to be made there. What exactly is the city's involvement going to be? Why would the city have sort of the point on this when there are organizations out there, Project Hope, the Street Moms, the Greater Wheeling Coalition on the Homeless, Catholic Charities, other organizations, all of whom are more directly involved in dealing with the issue of the homeless. Youth services directly involved with the homeless. Why would a city position be placed in sort of the central spot there? I just don't. It's just my opinion. Part of it's because I don't fully understand what this position is going to be, and I think they're moving a little bit too quickly on this. Lisa Badia, the executive director of the Coalition for the Homeless, said if there's any lapse in communication, which is kind of the implication that these various agencies aren't working well together, that's kind of the implication. Why would you need a liaison to kind of coordinate things? Lisa Badia says if there's any lapse in communication, it's coming from ill-informed or uninvolved people. Interesting. John Moses from Youth Services Systems, again, this is all in the newspaper over the weekend. I think the city's plan to create a homeless liaison is a forward-thinking decision, but he notes that the issue of housing, the issue of homelessness involves so many other things than just homelessness: housing, healthcare, law enforcement, criminal justice, human services, etc., etc. Mark Phillips, again, from Catholic Charities. If one of the issues the city cites is cooperation and communication, adding yet another voice outside the existing agencies can possibly exacerbate that problem. So right now, at least speaking for myself, I think this is not defined well enough. And if this is defined in an ordinance coming up tonight, and of course it is defined because there's an ordinance coming up tonight. Again, I don't know what a time-limited, what do you call it here, project-based time-limited position actually is. And even if it's well-defined in this ordinance, I think there needs to be more public discussion about this and probably more direct involvement of the agencies that are part of this. They probably are talking to them. I'm not suggesting that there's no communication going on. But this strikes me as it requires a lot of people to have some input into this. With all of the council members, I am very pleased and happy to see them focusing attention on the issue of homelessness. But I'm just not sure that the city, I'm just not sure that they're the ones that ought to be the captain of this team or the key coordinator or what have you, when you have other agencies who are much, much more directly involved. So we'll have to wait and see, but council will vote on that today. It came to them from the Development Committee? No, not the Development Committee. Anyways, there was a committee vote on this. 2-1 was the vote to move it forward to the council stage. I think it's not ready for primetime players yet. And I suspect that you'll see a real split vote on council, and that's not a good thing to see. I don't expect a universal vote, a unanimous vote all the time. I hope there isn't, because I think it's always good that there be differing points of view. But I think they need to hash this out a good bit more. It is a serious problem. It is a serious problem. But there are an awful lot of people involved, from youth services systems to Catholic Charities to the Coalition for the Homeless to the Street Moms to Project Hope. And I'm just not 100% sure what the city sees its role would be, since it doesn't have any direct involvement with the homelessness. We'll see. They vote on that coming up today. Let's see what else is coming up today as we head to the Big 7, WTRF TV, and Bob Westfall. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, Howard. How are you?
I'm good. How was your holiday?
My holiday was fine. No injuries. Well, yeah, I did. Yeah. So I survived. How was yours?
It was good. Wait a minute. Why did you say, oh, well, yeah? I mean, did you?
Never mind. I don't want to talk about it.
You weren't putting off fireworks, were you?
Oh, well, yeah, I was. I don't live in Wheeling.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay.
And next year in Ohio, it's all going to be legal.
So you'll really go crazy next year.
Oh, it's gonna get ugly. Yeah.
Biff called it earlier. He said there was like the pre-show for the wheeling fireworks.
Yeah.
Because you had like a pre-show in the neighborhoods, and then we had the fireworks show itself downtown. So
Yeah. Wells Township's fireworks were last night. That's kind of how it was around. How brilliant it was last night. It was like everybody was competing to see who could have the loudest explosion. I think. And I don't do the loud fireworks and stuff like that, the big boomers. But I got neighbors that apparently do.
Oh, we had some neighbors, and I joke about it. And look, we're not going to stop you from putting fireworks off on the 4th of July. But we had somebody in our general neighborhood was putting off pretty powerful boomers into the sky, and they weren't setting up high enough. So they were exploding fairly low, and my fear was some of that was going to end up, falling on roofs or something. I don't want to sound like it.
Yeah, I'm glad I got it up. So.
Yep. All right, what are you working on today? Anything exciting? I'm sure it's exciting. I don't know why I always phrase it that way. What are you working on today?
Something you were just talking about. Wheeling Council looks like they're going to address the homeless liaison. Today, Wheeling Council, Stephanie Grinley will be down there at noon today. We'll see what they're thinking and what their decision will be. Yeah. So we'll have that tonight in our 6 o'clock.
I'm curious. I don't think they're ready for primetime players. I don't think this is fully thought out enough. That's just my opinion. I don't think there's been enough public vetting of this idea.
Right. So we'll find out what they're thinking when it comes to this situation tonight. Exactly what it is. We talked to Rosemary Ketchum last week about it. Got a little bit of information on it from that interview. We'll see if it's fleshed out a little bit more during council today. So we will have that update today. So Stephanie Grinley will be covering that today. The plan is also to head down to Marshall County. We talked to the animal shelter down there. They were literally overrun yesterday with animals that had run away. We were talking about fireworks and kind of joking about it. But the animals were not happy about it. So they were literally overrun with animals that had run away from the fireworks, and just a really bad situation. So we're going to go down and talk to them about the whole situation, the way that day turned out. So we'll have that. That'll be in our 5 o'clock today.
Okay.
Something else we're working on: recreational marijuana in the state of West Virginia. Justice Clarence Thomas came out a couple weeks ago talking about how with each state legalizing recreational marijuana, the federal laws may not be constitutional anymore, or may not be needed anymore. So that's an interesting development on that. So we're gonna talk to Delegate Fluharty and Senator Ryan Weld today, their thoughts on that situation and what that means to the West Virginia. Obviously, you look at places like Colorado, and that they're making money hand over fist, but you got to also take a look at other problems that it may be causing. So I think that's an interesting situation for West Virginia. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that would just jump in to be part of a legal marijuana growing situation in the state of West Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know Governor Wolf in Pennsylvania has already talked about it for PA, so it'd be quite interesting. So we're gonna kind of visit that again. So we'll have an update on what some legislators are thinking about here in West Virginia.
That sounds good. Yeah.
And we've got, of course, our Veterans Voices. We're going to talk to an Army vet who served in Vietnam, made a career in the Army. I believe he's a Buckeye local guy, so that's always a step up for me. But anyway, we'll have that story. Catherine Guyon loves these stories, so we'll have that in our 5 o'clock.
You can tell she enjoys them too.
Yeah, she loves. I mean, that's her. That's her happy place. So that's something she really loves to do. So that's we're glad we're out of the pandemic, so she can start doing them again. So we'll have that. We'll be keeping track of the weather. It's going to be another 3-day scorcher. So Zach is up there right now checking things out. And then of course Dr. Dave will be in this evening, and we're going to keep up to date on all the temperatures and how hot it's going to get. I think Zach said this morning south of I-70 could see a heat index of triple digits. So,
yeah.
So that's going to be a scorcher. So it's going to be a warm couple days. So again, be safe out there, people.
Yeah. On a serious note, stay hydrated. Be careful. The sun can be very, I don't want to say hot, but it can really create a problem for you. Be careful. And then on a more lighter note, go find a pool. Go find a nice air-conditioned place and stay cool. It's going to be a pit trip.
People watch. If you've got nowhere else to go to the mall and sit and just watch, and make fun of them as they walk by. So there you go. A little bit of entertainment, and you're cooling off. So there's everything.
Why not? Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. We'll look for things at noon, 5, 6, 10, 11, 5:30. Always the statewide show, and of course, throughout the day, keep on top of things at WTRF.com and on the WTRF Facebook page and Twitter pages too. I should mention that as well. And I appreciate your time today. Good talking to you.
All right, guys.
And on Thursday. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bob Westfall from the Big 7, WTRF TV. And they'll be covering the council story. I probably will not attend council, but they do put it on Facebook, so I'll probably be watching council to see what's going to happen with this homeless liaison position today. And hopefully tomorrow we'll talk about it. I'm just not quite sure what's going to happen. I think that they could vote it up, they could vote it down. The nice thing would be to hold it over for a while and see what develops, get more input from different people, public as well as individuals, but we'll see. And I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll ask the mayor and vice mayor to come on, Biff, but they won't come on. Why is that?
Well, because they have a show tomorrow.
They'll do it on their own show. No, Howard, I think we'll just do it on our own show. Save it anymore. There's no chance in getting on a Wednesday. No, we'll talk about it on our own show. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, talking about it on your own show. Coming up next is Statewide Talk Line. Mr. Kirchhoff is in. Brad McElhenney will be top of the show, including conversation about Governor Justice's comments on the vaccine. It's going to take a catastrophe. People are going to have to die. Hoppy will talk about that with Brad McElhenney coming up next, as well as a wide variety of other stories. As for me, I got to say sayonara, see you, bye-bye, farewell. I got to go. I got to get out of here. Good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, bat phone doesn't ring, don't get impeached, don't retire. Ticker keeps on ticking, and most importantly, Teddy says it's all right. You can go back to work tomorrow, Granddad. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, to the Go Run of the Big Gig. Are you back with me, Biff?
I'm here for a Wednesday.
We're going to keep on doing it until we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Moving in on Florida cruise, continuing to...
All right, Biffy, not a bad day. Kind of went down a strange rabbit hole there with Dr. Carroll. That turned into a little bit of a... it turned a little different than I thought it was going to be, but it's okay. I don't think she was too happy with me by the end, but it's all right. It's okay. Let's see. Tomorrow, I am going to try and get somebody. Well, I'll wait and see what happens to the homeless, and then we'll see if we can get somebody to come on and talk about that. And I think I've got some other requests out, but I haven't heard back from them yet, so we'll wait and see what happens. We'll put something together. It's a short show, so we'll make something happen tomorrow. Anything going on that I need to know about? Any problems over the weekend or today that you're aware of? I got to do some research because apparently Audacity has been bought, and this is not a joke, has been bought by the Russians. And they've added spyware to Audacity now. And so they're recommending that everybody who uses Audacity get rid of it. Well, we use it for everything. I mean, I use it on all my computers here at home. We use it up there. I got to do some more research and see how serious a problem this is. We've already had our spyware problems at the radio station. I don't have any more, but going to have to look into it. And then I don't know what we do if it's as bad as some people are saying it is. But supposedly it's a direct connection to Russia, which is not probably a good thing. So always something. Always something. All right. I should be around all day if you need me for anything, except I may try and go down and take a dip in the pool before Teddy gets home, so I want to get that big chair out, we can just sit there and put a can of pop in the little container and just float around for a while. Let's see if I can do that. No, this will be a good day. All right, if you need me, though, give me a call. I'll be around. All right, thanks a lot. Have a good day. Appreciate your help, as always. All right, bye.
Call 800-401-6681. Our cutting-edge technology helps make your Google search results look their best. Call 800-401-6681. That's 800-401-6681. 800-401-6681. Or take the free scan at reputationdefender.com.
Coronavirus cases are on the rise in Great Britain, but Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the country's just over a couple of weeks away from easing COVID restrictions.
It's been a long time coming, but finally, after 6 months, life will soon return to something much closer to the old normal in the UK. As the British Prime Minister says, now is the time to move.
To those who say we should delay again, the alternative to that is to open up in winter when the virus will have an advantage, or not at all this year.
Boris Johnson fully acknowledges COVID numbers will rise with the easing, but given the high vaccination rates here, hospitalizations and deaths remain low. Tom Rivers, ABC News, London.
Deadly plane crash in eastern Russia. ABC's Patrick Reevil with more.
Russian authorities say they have now found the wreckage of the passenger flight close to a remote village where it was due to land.